Good day to everyone. Thank you for your time in attending Netscout sessions. Today, I would like to talk about overall Netscout solutions here from the Smart Edge monitoring perspective. But before I do, I would like to give you some insights. Who is Netscout here? Netscout has been in this industry for more than over 30 years. We start off as a service assurance years before moving on into a security space itself. In fact, we are based in Boston, okay, and we have about 2,500 employees, over 50 regional offices itself. And we actually focus both in the enterprise market as well as service providers. And during the year of 2015 or 17, we actually also acquired companies, that's actually in the DDoS space. If you know about Arbor, right? Arbor is a leader in DDoS itself. And now the solution is actually inside Netscout portfolio. So our solution actually transfers both in the security space from service assurance angles, both in the enterprise angles as well as a service provider point here. Good thing is that if you look into from our solutions here, in fact, 1/3 of the global internet here, okay, service provider is actually using our Arbor solution as well. And this is where we actually able to actually collect very important information about, the intelligence feeds that's actually that's used actually to protect, okay, the customer's network. Our solution is now actually moving on from physical angles to more towards software based. As you know, right, total cost of ownership is extremely very important. This is where we can able to help customers to actually reduce that here by leveraging using our solutions into what we call cost model, or in a software model that in a vStream, we call it a cloud agent based here. So I think this is where Netscout actually is diversified, okay, in both of our solutions here, which make it more software flexibility. In today's world itself, you can see is that a lot of customers is actually concerned of business continuity, especially during the COVID-19 sale. More and more actually is also doing digital transformation before and after as well. And I heard customers also moving into cloud migrations. Yes. Nowadays, yes, on and off here, you probably heard about cyber attacks. If you look into these few areas itself, it actually fall into 4 different areas. One is relates to availability, how reliable is your network is, right? And at times here, okay, certain site is connected, certain site is not connected. Ultimate aim is actually latency perspective itself, right? How quick, okay, you can able to just access your network here, all your applications. At the end of the day, when it comes to attack itself, are you ready to be protected, right? And if you think that you're ready, how ready you are. And Netscout do have solutions in the cover all these few areas here. Ultimate end visibility is the key thing to everything here. If you look at it from Netscout's perspective here, we not just only focus on performances, availability, but we also actually key areas that we are actually driving very, very, very strong is in the security space itself, with the other technologies that's built in within Netscout. And this is where today I will focus very much on the performance angles and availabilities. And at the end of the session, I will introduce one slide about our security space, which you can actually know more if you are interested in. So today's session, we talk about Omni Smart Edge monitoring here. If you look into from the traditional angles itself, right, many customers actually owns their own data centers, or they actually deploy their servers actually in a colo location itself. This is where, okay, within the data center, they have remote sites, and the IT operation are actually more in control. Okay, so this is where you can see from these angles itself, right? When there's issues here, IT ops just know where the issue is, okay, because all the premises, all the equipment, they're owned by them. But as time goes by now, okay, a lot of businesses are actually moving into cloud environment, right? Okay, from SaaS, okay, from cloud infrastructures, and more because of COVID-19, also doing work from home angles itself, whereby the access is actually not through the WAN anymore, but actually going through the internet. So visibility becomes a very, very important part. And because of that, IT operation lacks control. And when they lack control, they have no visibility exactly what happened when the user is trying to access the SaaS application, when they try to access the applications in Azure, for example. So if we look into the implication of poor response time itself, in fact, if you look into this report by Forrester's research in January 2021, the cost of downtime of businesses is huge itself. In fact, there's revenue loss and productivity loss itself, and other expenses, right? And actually, if you look in the front perspective, you build your network to run the business. But the real business actually comes from the remote sites itself, right? Whether it's from customers, remote officers, okay, or stakeholders. Reputation is the most important part here, when actually you couldn't able to access the applications. User, okay, you buy a Starbucks, you pay by card, you cannot access it. Well, they leave. Availability actually relates to the revenue, right? And cost is the most important part. And nowadays, yes, how efficient is your network, right? And this is actually extremely very important. And how Netscout plays, we play in both parts, yes, whereby you can able to help customer to understand from an end user perspective how their performance is like, and when this real issue itself, how IT operation can able to help them. In our solutions, yes, we actually deploy, so okay, we call it visibility without borders, whereby we can actually deploy any edges. Edges can be where? In home, in remote sites, in colo, in private clouds, public cloud itself, whereby you can actually monitor and track, okay, looking into services in the SaaS, you see as a service like web ads, okay, on-premise service enable. And nowadays, it shows that our solution sits both in active monitoring and passive monitoring by giving customers more important information of how we can able to identify the meantime to investigate, as well as meantime to knowledge sales. And that will actually help the customer to preserve end user experience and quality of service. Our solution sits into different areas, okay, but the most important part is the combinations, whereby these two solutions are actually combined and able to integrate well. Okay. So we are actually using an endpoints that are actually doing what called synthetic transactions. A very powerful capability is a business transaction, where we can able to drill down to different application through what called Python scripts. And the end result will actually be collected by engineers one that give you a holistic view about more towards the end user experience angles itself. So the endpoints will sit on any part of the world, right? It could be in the office, it could be in another remote sites, in remote location or international sites itself, whereby they can actually do synthetic tests, okay? And it can be for tests from the Wi-Fi or wide angles itself. The diagram you can see from here, this is actually the endpoints here. So we do have actually a software agent that can sit within a laptop, so that you can actually test it from work from home, or you can actually look in deploying some sort of endpoints in this white box that can able to use it in the office angles itself. And nowadays here, they do multiple different tests. And with this test result will send to what they call the collectors here, whereby they can able to see very powerful information from end user perspective. Yeah. So the aim is actually to understand exactly when the issue comes. Yes. First thing you want to know, what is the slowness? Is it from a network? Is it a client, or is it a server, right? So this is where we can able to break down into very detailed information from the latency perspective. For example, trying to serve the web, is a DNS slow, right? We tell you the what, but more important, you want to know why is it slow. This is where the engineers one, when drill down, we can give you very high deep detailed information about the why. By combining the both, ultimate aim is to help you to actually reduce MTTR. And from here, the deployment is very simple, right? Once you deploy just, we can actually map this deployment location into a geographical map like this. All these green dots are the location where the endpoint sits in, right? And the bigger circles tells you that there are multiple different endpoints. Different color highlight your test could be actually not very successful. For example, in this case, when I click on that, you can go down into this what called business view. Here actually shows you different endpoints locations, right? Like Beijing, San Diego. And then over here are all the different tests that this endpoint will do, right? For example, I'm testing Office 365, Salesforce, web ads, Cloudflare, kind of stuff like that. If the colors is actually non-green, that means that some of the tests is hit some performance issue, whereby you can actually drill down to do further investigations, right? For example, we can help you to actually look at a simple web test. For example, you're in e-banking environment, the remote site testing their own e-banking website. I can break down, from the end user's locations, just what is the DNS network SSL client app delay. And if you're looking into Office 365, for example, I can even actually create Python script to look at what's the login time, open SSL, select file, export, and log out. This kind of detailed information will give you when the user actually perceive a problem itself, what problem are they? Is it from network perspective? And if you're ready for application, which part of application is actually having a high latency perspective? Is it really lock-in slow, or is it because of the export slow itself here? So if we look from the angles from there, okay, this is how we drill down. Once we know what is slow, with a simple mouse click here, we drill down directly, okay, into the investigation to tell you why it's slow here. So there's actually a link in between these two here. We mix the solutions as a single pane of glass that tell you exactly how this whole thing is interacting, okay, with each other, right? And here actually highlights that when I'm actually doing a test, okay, from different locations here. So I'm looking multiple tests, the Office 365 Word Day of Zoom, and the application is running on. I can even tell you what are the ISP this site is actually going through, right? I think this is actually a insight, especially whereby you have multiple different ISPs that's connecting from different locations, yes, which ISP actually from same country but different ISP are actually working well or not here. That can give you one idea. Is it really ISP problem, right? And here actually shows to you an angle that give you more information. For example, if you're looking from our solutions, yes, our solutions consist on home office, corporate office, public cloud, data center, and even colo, right? So in home office, our solution is more like agent-based. Okay, so our agent can actually sit on Linux, Microsoft, even Mac OS, right? And corporate or international, anywhere, you can actually deploy endpoints that can do Wi-Fi testing also, okay, from this endpoint and do multiple different tests. And the data will actually send it out to our information collected and able to actually present the kind of different case snapshots that you've seen earlier. And I would like to actually provide you some case studies, like work from home, when you're accessing SaaS, WebEx, Wi-Fi issue, or VPN, which is actually very critical in nowadays. And of course, you have application running in ISA, for example. Okay, how Netscout can help. From agent-based itself, you can see here, normally in a corporate like us, yes, we do have a split VPN split tunnel, which means when I'm surfing the internet, I don't go to the VPN, right? I go directly to the internet, okay? Or when I go to a corporate, I go into the tunnel here. So the virtual endpoint can do multiple different tests, okay? And they can able to give you information on that. So most commonly problem sites from work from homes are what? Are you aware of the end users having problems, right? Is a problem on the network or ISP? Okay, when I'm trying to access Zoom now, okay, for example, okay, what is my user experience? So we can actually give you the kind of insights into these angles, right? From the SaaS, for example, I'm accessing Office 365 years. Okay, I am doing simultaneous tests, okay, from that location or multiple locations. You can be able to tell you, okay, I provide evidence, okay, where the problem lies. Is it really on the SaaS that is having an issue, or is it on the provider angles? Okay, and we have the ability to actually help you to troubleshoot, okay, whereby, okay, I can't see, I know it. Especially now, IT operation don't have equipment on the SaaS. How do I know that really the SaaS have a problem? And you got to actually provide evidence to them, or else the SaaS operator will say, this is not my issue. It's a service provider issue. So how engineers work is simple as that, okay? By looking to the engineers' part, we actually able to show to you the latency perspective, the breakdown. Okay, now we realize that, okay, export reports probably having issues, right? Then as we go down into NG1, we realize that server is having an issue because, okay, you have a lot of zero windows, which means the resource of the server is the bottleneck itself. So the conclusion is that we know what the performance declaration is. And here we tell you why the performance declaration is happening. And that is actually the power of two, the factor of power of two. We call it 1 + 1 equals greater than 3 because we give you the kind of information IT ops is lacking on, especially whereby you don't have the control. Okay, and here actually shows to you that now about 3 more seconds, okay, is Windows 0. That actually affects a lot of performance issues just when users trying to access because the resource is not enough, right? I love this part here. When a user actually says that my login is very slow, the first thing is that how about the rest of the users trying to access login? All I need to do is I click on this bar, and I select, okay, let's look at all the users in the login, okay? And we give you these endpoints, okay, doing all the login tests and going through different provider and give you the kind of information that you can actually quickly drill down. Is it the specific location having login or majority of the users having login issues? That will actually give you from end user's perspective. If majority of users having a login issue, that means definitely it's an authentication issue on it, right? It cannot be so many provider accessing here, then okay, they don't have an issue at all. So it all depends from this information, you can able to give you the kind of visibility. And I say that visibility is what? It's about output. The output is what? It's about helping you to actually give you the information so that you can make right decisions, okay, to rectify the problem. Where is it? And the other part, of course, is in this case, I'm using a Microsoft Team, right? I can able to write scripts, okay, for Microsoft Team or WebEx itself, yes. And this I actually download from our website, yes. And we can actually provide the customer with mostly already pre-written already. Login file, voice call, group chat, kind of stuff, lockout. They give you the kind of information when performance degrades. Okay, you can quickly drill down from one end to the other angle. And here I just show to you, okay, user is trying to call each other, okay, and how's the performance, okay, from these both angles itself. Right, Wi-Fi from home. Yes, I believe that now I'm accessing my notebook through a Wi-Fi. Suddenly, okay, there's some issue on that. Yeah. How can I be able to troubleshoot it? This is where we can able to give the customer the kind of holistic information. And when it comes to Wi-Fi, it can be corporate, can be warehouse, factory, branches, retail, kiosks. We do have actually customers actually deploying our endpoints in a kiosk environment and doing simultaneous tests to your data center. And some of the tests are actually going through satellites also. Right? And here we can test Wi-Fi latency or together with a wired network, and you can able to do a comparison between wired and wireless, right? And see where the problems lies within the location in the Wi-Fi environment. End of days, yes, we're looking, especially when trying to access from the remote sites itself, you definitely have to go through the VPN, and VPN could be actually a bottleneck, right? And this is where we can actually instrument our solution in the VPN angle. Take, for example, over here, I can deploy endpoints at this angle, and this endpoint will go through an internet accessing the corporate VPN, right? And on a VPN angle itself here, I can also deploy our solution before and after. We call it outside VPN concentrator, inside VPN concentrator. What are we tracking on? For example, is the current load able to handle it? Is the VPN, okay, or which VPN is used, especially when you might have a load balancing, right? Analyzing the link throughputs itself, whether you can able to see any issues on your authentications. Inside itself, we can help you to actually identify is there any application issue or not. Take, for example, in this case, yes, I can have a two view, encrypted versus decrypted. I can show to you the inbounds and outbound traffic. I can show to you the failover situations, spots any non-business application that are used by end users or partners, right? How is the VPN concentrator performance is like here? Is there any packet loss here? Okay, which application you use? Are they business or non-business, right? And these are the kind of visibility that Netscout will help you to provide, okay, especially where users are actually accessing from this angle. End of the day, just looking from Netscout itself, when it comes to AGS itself, it's not just remote sites. In fact, co-location within the cloud itself, we consider it as an edge. For example, edge from where? Edge from VPC angles, between VPCs, or even in server farm. This is where we can actually deploy our Netscout solutions, vStreams on each part of that. In fact, we support Azure, we support AWS, we support Google's, or even Oracle. If you go to the marketplace itself, you see our solution sits in there because we are certified already by them. And we have customer actually deploys, okay, this solutions, yes, which call it vStreams, yes, okay, in the public cloud as well. And things, if your customer is moving to public cloud, and they also have some solution in on-premise itself, and they also want to look into the remote sites, think about that itself. This is where Netscout give you a single pane of glass, okay, both from 3 different dimensions. So this is a good example to show us to use when users trying to access the cloud together with the endpoints and engineers ones, we can actually easily able to drill down, okay, the why and the what. For example, in this case, yes, there's certain issues here. There's exceeding the certain threshold on the network. We can drill down from here and we realize that, okay, the sync and sync act is mismatch, right? Without this kind of two solution together, just most probably you can even know what is happening, but it cannot tell you the why. The why is the most important part because it helps you to actually, okay, reduce the MTTK. Ultimate aim is how good your solution is through the information that we gather and able to interpret it well. Right? As you can see from here, the overall smart edge monitoring here is to help customers to actually improve mean time to knowledge, right? By reducing it so that you can able to shorten the mean time to repair. And together with the NG Pulse engineers ones, okay, we provide you with smart data information just that give you, okay, the information that can make right decisions, okay, to rectify your problem. Many customers ask, so what is Netscout differentiations? Well, if you look into these diagrams here, it's the same diagrams that you have seen in a couple of slides before. I have a data center, I have a cloud application running in private and private cloud. I also have remote sites. I might have actually also have a co-location shell. But their customer, they say that, okay, I need solutions, yes, and they buy solutions for data center, they buy solutions to monitor on the cloud, they buy solutions from vendors A, okay, on the remote site. At the end of the day, just are they really in control? Let me ask you one. First thing, multi-vendors, right? Which means what? Okay, if I have an issue from the remote site, I probably have to look at vendor A console, vendor B console, and vendor C console, right? Which means that I have 3 different consoles with 3 different data and 3 different conclusions, because the data analysis are all different, right? And they don't correlate with each other. So there's no single pane of glass itself, and the metrics are not correlated. So at the end of the day, yes, okay, you don't have the kind of information that you're able to see exactly what is happening on, and there's no end-to-end. The ownership is individuals. But in Netscout environment, you can see from here, our solutions can sit both in multiple places. On the remote side, whether you are using SD-WAN environment, okay, on remote offices, or even your home office environment, on a data center, on a cloud, on your colo. Ultimate aim, it can give you the single pane of glass itself. And that is extremely very important. And that's actually our key differentiations. Okay. In fact, we also have some third party who call it tech validate. We actually survey multiple different customers and they give a conclusion, right? And they agree one thing. Okay, without visibility, you can't see anything. And what you can't see can hurt you. Okay. Before I end, I would like to give you an overall solution of Netscout. In fact, our Netscout solution not covers just only on the edges itself. We cover every part of the network, especially inside the data center. I call this in the service assurance solutions. The other part here is that we do have what we call the security solutions, whereby you can actually deploy it on the perimeter sites to actually monitor or to protect the network, okay, from inbound attack as well as outbound attack. And we do have another solution called Omni Securities, whereby you can able to do, okay, contact tracing. For example, if your internet network has a malware that's accessing, okay, the first thing you want to know is that who this malware is affecting the others. So the cyber investigator can give you the kind of holistic view that tell you the infected and who is being infected, and give you the understandings, okay, the flow, okay, and then you can able to do further investigation from the angles. So that's all I have here, and hope that, you know, if you will want to know more about our security solutions, okay, you can actually approach our local teams to know more. And because the session today is very focusing on service assurances, that's why I did not go in depth about the security solution on that. But we play a very, very important role in this perspective, because you can see from our solution, it's not just only on DDoS angles, but also from the internet threats, where we can actually track both angles and help customers to actually protect their network. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.